Can you give us some context into how we've seen the relationship between these two leaders evolve? Because in the frequent months, we saw President Trump grow frustrated with Vladimir Putin, even setting a deadline for him to come to the negotiating table.
Absolutely. Well, it seems that President Trump believes that he has a special relationship with Vladimir Putin. During his first term, he was on record saying nice things about Putin, and generally he avoids criticizing him. And that was his conviction during his first months into his second term, that he will be able to find some sort of quick settlement with Putin. Over the months, as you flagged, he grew increasingly more frustrated because the Kremlin has shown no significant willingness to negotiate. And in fact, since Trump's taken the office again this year, the amount of airstrikes of Russia on Ukraine has actually doubled at the very least. So that's certainly no evidence of Russia willing to negotiate. But Trump is very committed to pushing forward this deal on Ukraine, and as a result, he seems to be convinced that Putin wants some sort of deal to be achieved. The lot of details remains to be seen. So far, as of Friday's meeting, we can definitely say that it has given certain credibility, certain boost to Putin's at least domestic approval. When it comes to substantive outcome takeaway from this meeting, it remains to be seen. It seems that the key kind of shift in the Kremlin posture is some sort of decrease in the territorial claims. Now Russia mostly wants the rest of the Donetsk region, other than the other three regions' territory, which it claimed before. And in addition to that, allegedly is open to some security guarantees for Ukraine. The problem with that is that Russia never openly said that it rejects any security guarantees for Ukraine. If you look at the Istanbul agreements, which were agreed in 2022, those were already in those agreements. The problem is those not good enough for Ukraine. And the key intrigue of this coming negotiations between the European leaders, Ukraine and Trump, is whether there is indeed some sort of change in Russia's posture on this particular topic.
Maria, what did Vladimir Putin and his team learn about Donald Trump and the leadership around him as they met on Friday? Was there any new information or even intelligence that they were able to gather in that moment that they might be able to use going forward?
I guess a lot of details of the meeting actually remain to be perhaps discovered. In fact, we have seen on Friday that the meeting was cut short. Right, a lot of the events which was scheduled original, like the luncheon between the presidents, did not take place, which made many analysts suspect that the meeting did not go as well as original planned. We can only say that the regional key talking points that Putin held since the start of the war, of his aggression in Ukraine, including, quote unquote, eliminating the key roots of this conflict, which frankly mean in Kremlin talk, Ukraine's sovereignty, that very much remained on the agenda, along with these historical cards of Ukraine, some historical books that Putin allegedly gave to President Trump. So from that perspective, it seems that the Kremlin, at least in its major approach to the war, has held on to its key talking points. But it's also very obvious to the Kremlin that the US president is very eager to negotiate. And the key danger here is that the Kremlin will be apt at using this eagerness in order to turn it in its favor.